So preseason game number 2 is in the books for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and from the first team offense in particular, there's some things to like, but obviously if you watched it, things were not perfect. So both drives that the first team offense engineered went over 50 yards. Of course, the first drive ended with a fumble on just a really sloppy play. It looked like maybe Trevor Lawrence's foot got snagged by one of the linemen. Then he reached out to try to hand off the ball to the running back, and it just did not work. Put the ball on the ground, and the Saints recovered. So the Jags moved the ball really, really well, but as we are familiar as Jaguars fans, that didn't turn into 7 points. Now, the second drive started off with great field position, and the Jaguars went about 55 yards for a touchdown, which capped off Trevor Lawrence and the rest of the first team's day, and it was a really good-looking drive. Now, granted, and big point here, this was the Saints' backup defense. It didn't look like the Saints were running their starters hardly at all on defense, so this should very much have been the expectation. The Jaguars, to have a successful day on offense, needed to move the ball well, and they did that for the most part outside of that turnover. So from that standpoint, the Jaguars offense looked good against a unit they really should look good against. That being said, those sort of mistakes that are just drive killers showed up once again with that fumble, and that's going to be the concern early in the season, in particular as the Jaguars continue to gel as a team under a new system. There's going to be those sloppy plays where a drive might be going great, and then for whatever reason the drive just collapses and falls apart, and that's going to be the storm the Jaguars need to be able to weather early in this particular season, because if they can scratch out some wins early in the season when they're still sort of getting accustomed to the first team playing an entire game under this new system, hopefully that translates to good growth throughout the year and the team gels together and becomes even more efficient in the middle and second half of the season. So in my mind, the challenge for the Jaguars is to stay close enough early in the season that they are competing for a playoff position, if that is in fact what the goal would be, which I don't know why it wouldn't, because this roster is definitely better than most rosters out there that just hit the reset button completely. So the Jaguars, for instance, have a franchise quarterback that the team still believes in and definitely has the raw talent to be a top-tier passer, though he hasn't put that together yet consistently in the NFL. There's weapons on offense that a lot of the other teams sort of trying to reset don't exactly have. So all this to say, the Jaguars could be a surprise playoff team, but they have to keep their record close enough to the top teams in their division, most likely the Houston Texans, sort of through that early point of the year to try to hang close enough that they can make a run in the middle and later half of the year, hopefully when the team is really gelling together. Now, similar to the offense, the first team defense had a really nice day as well. The Saints struggled to put really anything consistent together in the first quarter. Now, the Saints, of course, their offense is in that full-blown reboot mode. So once again, this was a group the Jaguars defense should have performed well against, and that's exactly what happened. So on the defensive front, good job. That we need to see that growth. The Jaguars defense was terrible last year, so this is sort of a good showing with the asterisk there of a little bit of sloppiness from the offense in that fumble. So moving into the final week of the preseason, it'll be interesting to see how Liam Cohen approaches that week when it comes to playing starters versus resting starters and what that's going to look like. Will he trot them out there at all, or will he give them the entire week off? And I think a lot of that may have to do with how well they practice in the lead up to that final preseason game. But right now, cautiously optimistic. Like, it looks like the Jaguars are making progress, and we've had a lot of reports out of training camp that it looks like there's some sloppiness, especially with the offense. They're sort of boom or bust right now, so hopefully that can continue to be ironed out, and hopefully the Jaguars can get a few early season wins to not only boost confidence, but also continue to help with that gelling process as they get into this new system. So, of course, I want to know what you thought of the showing for the Jaguars starters against the New Orleans Saints here in preseason week number 2. Let us know those thoughts down below in the comments. Otherwise, I am Shane, and I will see you all in the very next video.